Hello, everybody. Welcome to Aha Moments to Success podcast. I'm so glad you joined us today. We got a wonderful guest coming on, Carrie Wilson, and she's going to be talking about a few things in her aha moments and some of her wisdom that she has. But as the new podcast rolls out, we always do an Ask Anita in advance of actually the interview. So we're going to get to that right now. You can follow us over on YouTube. You can follow us wherever your podcasts are, or you can subscribe on the website because that's going to give you both versions, the visual and the audio, depending on what kind of person that you are. So today's question is, how do you create confidence? People say, fake it till you'll make it. And this is from Suzanne. So fake it till you make it. You know, a lot of people talk about that. And I'm going to be honest, I feel that fake it till you make it has created a lot of people that don't know what they're doing out there. I got to say it. You know, there is a portion of fake it till you make it that you feel that confidence within inside of you. But there's a lot of people out there that are doing the fake it till you make it that they're creating too much of who they really aren't. So creating confidence is something that's inside, and it's very, very important that you develop that inside first. So the confidence in whatever it is that you're wanting to do, I truly believe, number one, affirmations are huge. Affirmations are very, very important to bring out that confidence, to feel comfortable, to walk into that room, to approach that person, to talk about yourself, to do all that. You need to create that inside of yourself. And it's kind of interesting because as I talk about this, today's guest has something really, really neat that we're going to talk about with her campaigns, with her line that kind of talks about this as well. But it's making sure that you carry that confidence within yourself, and affirmations are really, really important. And knowing what that is that you want to develop, it's almost like building that little strategy, that roadmap to knowing what that is and building that confidence within yourself. So affirmations are really, really important. And I do have a free 30-day positivity affirmation for you to try over at the website if you want to go take a look at it. They're really honing in on that. And number two is the big step. So that's kind of a little bit fake it till you make it. But this next step is being that person and really understanding and researching and getting the credentials that are needed to doing what you're doing. That is really, really important as well. I see so many people out there that are putting out, you know, pictures that aren't necessarily true, that they're making statements that aren't necessarily true. And you need to be able to feel that confidence within, but you also need to be able to have some of the credentials behind what you're doing and to be truthful out there. We need to be truthful in what we're doing, everybody. We really, really do. And not only does that create a false arena that we're in out there, it's important to really be able to have the credentials behind what you're doing as well. Whether that's even just the inspiration of a moment that you've been through, that you've learned from A to B, share that moment because you have something to share, but don't create so much more around it that isn't there. And make sure that you create those affirmations in yourself that you're going to be able to be strong. I remember when I first started my own business, I was in corporate forever. And even just before that, I was starting to get more into public speaking. And it still is one of the best things for me when I have large crowds around me. And I would visualize myself as this tree, and that's what my first logo was. I rooted myself into the ground, and I became stronger, and I felt more confident in getting out there and being able to share my message. So how do you create more confidence? Is being able to feel that inside, make sure you have the credentials to whatever you're wanting to do to be able to bring that out, whether it's the true story that you want to share or something that is going to be able to do that, and then bringing that forward. So to me, that's really, really important, and fake it till you make it to an extent, but be careful with that and moving it forward. So that's my question. That's my answer for the Ask Anita today. And today we've got Carrie Wilson on, and I'm so excited to have Carrie on. She has been such an inspiration. I love her way of thinking. She's created a business. She's created a makeup artistry and being able to do makeup for people. about, but she's also created her own makeup line, which I think is pretty neat. She's done my makeup various times, and really a true inspiration. So we want to get Carrie on here. So Carrie, can you get yourself on the screen here so we can see your beautiful face? Hello, hello.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I wish it was more in person, though. You're too far away.
I agree. I want to travel again. I want you to come down here.
We got to get you on the culinary retreat. That's what we got to do.
I would love that.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun this year. We're really looking forward to it. So, but it's so wonderful to have you on and to be able to get some inspiration from you and everything that you do. And as I was talking about the confidence topic, I don't know if it was really the right thing to say, but, I just felt like I had to talk about, the affirmations, but also having some of that credential behind everything that you do.
I agree.
But I got to be careful in how I say that, because you can also get caught up in always wanting to learn that much more and never taking action because you feel that you're not good enough. And that's so important too. So, I'd love for you to give us your feeling and some of your thoughts on that.
So I love what you said about, there is a little bit of truth to fake it till you make it. I love how people used to say, dress for the job that you want. I personally believe that if your makeup is looking flawless and you're feeling more confident, then you're probably going to carry yourself in a different way. So that's a little bit of fake it till you make it. But at the same time, you have to be really authentic with who you are. And you have to make sure that if you're presenting something, whether it be a product or whatever your business is, you have to be skilled. You have to know that what you're telling other people to do or not do is the right thing. So I think there's a little bit of both. We can definitely, as women, I think, get in our own heads and sort of think we're not worth it. So you kind of have to fake yourself through that a little bit, but you also have to be really authentic and, like you said, be an expert in your field and really know what you're doing and get those credentials. That's really important.
Mm-hmm. And I love your makeup line. Well, I mean, you've used it on me before too, so I know I do love it. But it carries a bit of the external part of it, but also the internal part of it with your campaigns. It's so important to look good and feel good. And each person, that can be different. It could be a little bit more makeup, a little bit less makeup that makes them feel more comfortable. But you also have other messages behind what you're doing with your makeup line too.
I do. I think, I started my line about 5.5 years ago and did not do my first campaign until I think 3 years ago. And I don't know why, because I've worked in cosmetics my whole life since I was 19. And so I know campaigns are important. I didn't see myself as a visionary at all until I did my first campaign.
Really? Wow. I've always seen you as that. So.
Well, it's funny how other people see you and how you see yourself, right? It's can be very different. So my first campaign was called the I Am campaign. Mm-hmm. And just a little history on that. I love your empowering words and your affirmations. I'm constantly thinking of trying to speak good to myself rather than bad to myself. And it's something I work on every day. I think most women do. And so I started to think, well, let's use these words that are really powerful. So instead of saying, I'm not smart, I'm overweight, I'm lazy, I wanted to use powerful words. So each lipstick or product in the campaign was an empowering word such as I am driven, I am complete, I am genuine, I am in control, those types of things. And so, and I had local friends really do a photo shoot, and they all had a lipstick on and they all sort of shared their story and what that word meant to them.
Yeah.
My second I Am campaign was more about the words that we're called when we're younger. As women often were labeled as being too curious, too bossy, vulnerable, you're weak, these types of things. But the words were vulnerable, curious, bossy, rebellious. I know I was called rebellious.
I can see that.
I mean, I don't know. I get through it.
Since you brought it up.
Is it my hair? I don't know. But if you think about those words, they stick with you and they have a negative connotation to them. But really, as you grow older, I'm in my 40s and I know now that being rebellious just means you're standing on your own 2 feet and you know who you are and you're not going to follow the pattern. It doesn't make you a bad person. Being vulnerable can be very difficult, but you can grow a lot when you're vulnerable, being curious and interested in other people's lifestyle and things like that. So those words really stuck with me. And then the last campaign, which was right before COVID hit, was "We Will Stand Together." And I know, very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But goosebumps, these words.
You're ahead of your time.
Were love, trust, inspire, forgive, and survive. Those were the words for the campaign. And I just want to empower people. I've been empowered by many, and I would like to empower others as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, because it has a double, like, has a message, but also makes you look good, right? So it's not just the lipstick. There's so much more to it, right?
Yes.
But it's interesting that just a couple comments to what you said. Just before COVID hit, I was down in your neck of the woods, and we were on First Coast,
Yes.
the ABC show, and we talked about Apart Together.
Oh, wow.
Because we were bringing everyone together with the International Dinner Club, and it was talking about, that so many people, they are on their phones all the time. Yeah, they're in the same house, in the same room, but really they're apart and they're together. They're not really engaging. They're not really doing something. And that's why the cooking together and eating together was so important. Bring that back, bring that together with friends and family. And now it's like a standard word, apart together. Right? Everyone talks about it apart together.
Time too, right?
So I love showing that episode to say, no, it happened before COVID.
Very needed right now, though. I mean, I've cooked more in the last 8 months than I've ever cooked. So, and my husband and I like to be in the kitchen together cooking. I think what you guys do is great.
Yeah, it brought us together. So it's really important. And but anyway, the affirmation thing. So part of my program, I actually have, and it's a download. It's an affirmation sheet that it's actually me on Jack's Beach with Julie's picture, and it's I am phrases.
Are you
You
serious?
add it in and you put it on your actual. I'm going to send it to you. You put it on your mirror in your bathroom. So every morning, depending on what that is that's important to you, I always talk about that because everyone has their own sort of message. And I think you hit a lot of the core ones with your campaigns there. You say it to yourself. It's a reminder, right? And you put it on your bathroom wall to be able to, or in your the mirror, right? To be able to see that. So it kind of ties into what you're saying in your message. So then you can just check it off with one of the lipsticks every time you.
I'm like, I'm in control today, and I put on in control,
Look at me go. But I know that whenever you've done my makeup, I've always felt so much better. And putting on makeup isn't always one of my strengths. And especially as I'm getting older, I'm having a hard time seeing. I got to get one of those ones where you can see the eye and then the
real thing.
But I know that it's always made a difference. And we did interview someone that's a facial intelligence expert, and they'll be on before yours. And they talk about that, that you wear a darker lip and it actually creates more authority. So if you want to, an example, be on a Zoom call and you want to, that you would put a darker lipstick on. And that's something that she was stating. Also darker eyebrows. And I know I don't hardly have any lips or any eyebrows. So I'm always having to find that. And that always makes me feel that much better when you do. So I think what you're doing is just such a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
So I'd love to know, what is your aha moment for success? I'd love to, you're such an empowering woman. I'd love to get the deets.
So, I realized a few years ago, sitting in my studio and starting to do some new things in my business, that every single thing that I had done since I was 14 and started working, and I started in cosmetics at 19, so it's a long time ago.
Wow.
Whether good, bad, or ugly, whether it be an interaction with a person or a job, part of the job that I did not like or didn't care for, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Every single thing has panned out to help me in some way to be an entrepreneur. I don't know if you know this about me, and I talk very proudly about it, I did not graduate from college. I went for a semester and a half. It was not for me. I was kind of lost at that point in my life as far as what I wanted to do for a career. And so sitting in that moment and realizing Oh, wow. I used to do emails for a company, and send out product emails of how to use things. And there are certain ways we structure these emails, et cetera, et cetera. I do them now when I send makeup lessons, or working with someone that was rather difficult, as a boss. Like, that has helped me to handle any type of client customer situation, or working with production team, et cetera, et cetera. Like, every single little thing, and especially those connections to people. And then, I don't really love the word networking, but sort of those connections in that circle with people has led me to exactly where I am today, even if I didn't love it at the time.
Yeah. And it's hard because when you're in that moment too, right? You're like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah,
No, why is everyone else, everything's going easy for them, not realizing that they might not be telling you those stories,
right.
but it brings you to where you're supposed to go, right? And those,
Exactly right.
I don't know if you know that I've written a book, Vitality Knocks, but
Mhm.
in it is a life lesson
Oh,
that's in
yeah.
each one. And it talks to similar what you're saying, right? So vitality goes through those lessons of life and realizing after the fact, oh no, that brought me to here. And it
Yes.
helps you grow, even though at the time you're like, no. And you know what? You weren't meant to go to college. What wasted time would that have been? Right? To spend that. That's what was meant for you in your path. And I think that's
Right.
so important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely helped me know that this is where I'm supposed to be, because I often question things like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I'm not that person that always has the 5-year goal or the 10-year goal. But when I'm in that actual moment and I take a second to just sit back and say, oh my gosh, I used to do this in a kind of a different way, but I would never know how to have this skill or do this task if I hadn't have done that. It helps me to know I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's good sometimes, you don't want to live in you don't want to live in the past, but you review it quickly. Then
Yes.
you live in the moment. And you don't want to not live in the future too much,
Mm-hmm.
but it is important to still, I personally believe in goals. I know, I think it was one of the Ask Anitas that just came out talking about goals. And some people go, it's a bunch of hogwash, but you have to be able to do it in your way and knowing, but you've got that instinctually through what you're doing, knowing where you're going and what that's going to be, right?
Right. Yes, definitely.
Oh, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, are we back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something with the Wi-Fi or whatever. So the color palettes and everything. Let's talk a little bit about makeup because that's important for the listeners out there. How do you pick the color palettes? How do you pick the type of skin that people have? I know for myself, I've got a little bit more of a maturing skin, being in my 50s. And makeup doesn't sit on me the way it used to. And I find some are better. Like I know I was using MAC products for a while and they were caking, especially under the eyes, and looked like I was 100 years old. And then, but I know the makeup that you've used on me, I mean, it transformed me. I look like a different person. Is there certain makeup for certain people, or are there certain colors for different people, or how does it work?
That's a really great question. So you said something earlier. I think it was when you were asking the first question from the viewer is everybody is different, right? So it is my job as a makeup stylist, if you will, to figure out what's going to make you feel comfortable. And I learned those skills from working for a large cosmetic company behind the counter for 15 years. And so you never know who's going to walk up next, right? This person who wants super glam who's 20, or super glam at 60, or someone who's never worn makeup before. So I really, really got in touch with the creativity of figuring out, almost like a makeup psychic, if you will, like what can I put on Anita that's going to make her feel the prettiest, right? But then there's also a whole nother side to it, like you're talking about, as far as special concerns we have as we're aging and things like that. I try to use formulas and colors that are pretty much good for everyone. Now, you probably walk up to my tester units and say, oh my gosh, I so love these tones right here, right? Kind of like when you dump out your lipsticks and you have 6 of almost the same color, right? There's certain things we gravitate towards. I just have this knack for knowing what's going to look good on a lot of people and kind of knowing what people will need. When you ask, is there certain good, makeup that's good for certain people? I think every line has something to offer. I will say that, but you have to find the right formula in that line and the right consistency, especially when you're talking about the under eye area and the skin. Those are the two things that can really, really age our skin if it's not right. If we're not properly hydrated, if it's too thick, too heavy, we can't see a little bit of our skin through it, and it's making us, in essence, look older. We don't want that. So it's about finding the right marriage of the skincare and the makeup to really form that perfect look for you. And that's different for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's always a few things, and I don't know if these are going to be part of your 3 questions or tips at the end, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
So I remember always it was, at the time, you do the 3 lines of eyeshadow up like this, the darker one on the outside, the lighter one in the middle, and then you wanted to match it to your clothes.
It is so, who has time for all that? I don't.
Passe?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Here's the thing. If you, and probably part of this is, I worked for a certain line before, Bobbi Brown, and we believed in very clean classic makeup, but we did glam as well. But what I really learned from working there is that if you follow the natural tones in your face and you do what I call a core look, I think a core look is so inevitably important. It's basically like, when you go to your closet and you had pizza last night and you're like, I'm a little bloated today, but these jeans always work, this top always works, and you just put it on and that's it. You need that in your makeup bag. So, so, so important. So if you're following the natural tones of your cheek when you pinch them, your lips, just intensifying the tone of them a little bit more. Let's say your eyelids have more of a brown or peachy base. You follow that. If you have that core look that you can put on almost with your eyes closed every day, that is something you should have. Then you can build on that. Sure, if you have a burgundy shirt on and you want to wear a tint of burgundy on the lip, great. As far as eyes go, people make eyeshadow so complicated. I mean, you watch these YouTube videos and social media videos, and it's a 20-year-old girl spending 45 minutes doing her eyeshadow. Who has time for that? I mean, it's fun.
We agree.
But for the everyday woman, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something make us look like as fresh as our best day, right? So really, if you can choose one color, I know this sounds crazy to people, that's sort of the skin tone, a rose gold, a beige, bronze, something that's just a little bit more than your eyelid, and you put it on the lid and you blend it up a little bit into the crease. You can kind of see I've done a little bit more of a plum, but you can't see light and dark and all that sectioned off stuff, right? You want it to blend to where you can't tell where something is and where something isn't. If you can do that, even just one little sweep here and pulling up and line and mascara, you're gonna look like $1 million.
Yeah.
You make it too complicated.
Yeah. No, I see that. I don't have patience for that, and to be able to put it in the crease and to do all of those things. But my biggest go-to, and you're probably going to think that's horrible, is, well, I'm always red in the cheeks. I think you know.
Yes.
I don't have to pinch my cheeks. It's there.
You don't. You're lucky.
And when people tell me to cover it up, I don't like it actually, because I look too pale. I'm so used to that redness that is just kind of part of me, right? But I get my blush. I just put it on my eyelids quickly.
I don't hate it. It's so funny. People are like, oh, don't look at my makeup bag. You're going to hate this product. Or you're not going to like my makeup. And I'm like, you look fabulous. If it works, it works. I mean, the thing about you covering your cheeks is we're putting blush on people because a lot of times they don't have any color in their cheeks and we're trying to make them look healthy. You already have that. So I can see why you don't like to cover it. A lot of this is just us second guessing ourselves because we've been slammed with all of this advice for the last how many ever years we've been wearing makeup. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just kind of have to trust your gut a little bit.
Yeah.
And I always say just wear as much makeup as you need to look fresh and healthy. You don't have to, but if you're that glam girl, be the glam girl, but don't try to be the glam girl if that's not who you are.
Yeah. Find what that personality is and who you are inside. I like it when you glam me up because I'm normally, a lot of the times I don't even wear makeup at all.
Right.
But I remember in my modeling days, they would slap on green on me like this thick. And then they put on, I was much younger, and I look at myself, it wasn't even close to me. You would make me look a better version of me and glam me up to do it. So that always made me feel good.
let me touch on that because I'm seeing a lot of this. And again, I think there's some amazingly talented people that are on YouTube doing videos and all of that. And I give it to them. That's great. But what I see a lot of right now is like what exactly you just said. So you have redness in your cheek, you're completely covering it. Then you're putting foundation on it, the green and all of that. And then you're putting blush on. Just do a couple of steps that you didn't need to do, you know? I mean, I understand some people have horrible redness on their chin and in places you don't want it, then certainly try to cover it there. But I think I'm seeing a lot of layering, and then adding back in what you just took away. And it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You want more of the natural look and just to bring in the confidence and to highlight your features, right?
Yes.
You know, it's interesting because I like to accent blue eyes, right? And so I do a little bit more of the plums and that. But someone actually said to me to go with like an orangey kind of colors too is something that.
So rose golds, coppers, things like that would be gorgeous on a blue eye.
Yeah, yeah. Because I do like to accent that a little bit, the blue. And so I kind of just stick with the same things. I don't really have that much of a palette, but of different products. But you know what? Every time I go and I have my makeup done by you, I'm like, oh, I need that. Oh, that looks great. That's like at home, it's how do I do it on my own? So that's what I like. So you give tips on what to do, right? So is that over on your Facebook?
So not every Tuesday at 8, but a lot of Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I do lives. I started doing that during COVID and lockdown, and it was actually hopefully just as therapeutic for everyone else as it was for me to sort of socialize and talk about what I love so much. But we have a different topic we talk about often. And then locally, I also provide makeup lessons, and I absolutely love lessons. It's about you bringing in all of your makeup and sort of me laying it out and figuring out how to, again, get you that core look and then build on it if you need it. But if you don't have the core products, everything's very scattered and you start either giving up or you buy and buy and buy and buy. And then you're just really inundated with too much product. So, and then my website, I offer some tips and tricks and pairings of colors that I think are good together as well.
Mm-hmm. And I love that idea that you look at the makeup that's there already.
Oh yeah.
There might only be a few items that you need to accent what you have already. And that's really, really important, you know, to be able to do that. So would you do that virtually as well? Like someone open up their bag and then they can do it virtually? Because
why not?
You know, nowadays they start to do it that way. And I'd love to. Next time I see you, I'm going to be opening up my bag. You got to be nice on me, okay?
Oh, please. No judgment. I'm telling you, the women come in and they say the same thing. Oh, my brushes are so dirty. And I'm like, I don't know many people that wash their brushes as often as they should. Or, oh, I have some Maybelline in here. I'm like, I don't care what it is. If it works and it looks good, my goal is to use as much stuff as you already have in your makeup bag. And then, you know, if you're missing a piece, to fill in the holes to make that sort of a complete package, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So I have 2 more questions and then I'll get into you answering the 3 because we're getting close on time here.
Sure.
But talking about brushes.
Okay.
How often do you clean them?
I call it the birthday brush bath. So I was born on the 21st. I wash my personal brushes on the 21st of every month. Okay. And so to me, it's a really good way to remember. And really quick, you know, if you haven't washed them in a really long time, you might have to use something a little bit more harsh the first time, like your, you know, dish soap, something to cut the oils and things. But then after that, you should be able to use a baby shampoo, something very gentle. It should take you about 10 minutes if you do it once a month. If you wait years, which people do, I don't want you guys to feel guilty about that. That happens. You're going to need to spend a little bit more time. I'd say maybe 30 minutes the first time you do it. After that, it's like a, 10, 15-minute project and your brushes look brand new the next day. They don't harbor bacteria. The brushes and bristles don't spread to where it's going to apply the product the way that it should.
It can cause breakout and stuff like that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have a video on your website that talks about that, or do you have?
I do. There's a YouTube video about how to wash your brushes. Okay. Yeah.
And where would they go? CarrieWilson.com?
Carrie Wilson Makeup on YouTube. You can Google that, or just go on YouTube and put Carrie Wilson Makeup. I'm in there. But I think I have one on my Facebook page now that I'm thinking about it too.
So if they go to CarrieWilson.com, they'll be able to find all the stuff on there as well, right? So But I know with myself, I just get the brushes and I just sort of put a little bit of soap in my hand. I go like that and then air dry it. Is that the right way to do it?
That is. In fact, I have some brushes right here. Yep. You just warm water coming down, a dollop. You go back and forth. Don't ever crush the brush in any way. You go back and forth.
Okay.
Rinse and wring until there's no more suds and no more color coming out. Wring very tight. And then you want to hang it off the side of a table. Okay. You don't want to dry it like this, because the goal is to get the least amount of water down in the ferrule of the brush. That's what everything is held together. So off the side of a table at night, fluff in the morning, that's fine. You just don't want to flatten it on the table. And when you do this, more air can circulate in and get in there and dry.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I want to talk quickly about, what do you call that? Shimmering type of shadows and stuff. Is that something that's popular now? Is that something that's good, or only certain people should be wearing that?
If you feel good in a shimmer, you should wear it. I don't think there's any age restriction on it. It's different if it's a glitter, right? If it's a full-blown glitter, you may not want to wear it if you have some crepiness to the eyelid. But if it's a shimmer or a sheen, I mean, I certainly have some shimmer on today. It actually can be very light reflective and very beautiful. I would just say don't do it all the way from the lash to the brow. Maybe cream, sort of in here and here, and leave this sort of naked.
Oh, leave that naked.
Yeah, but I love a shimmer. To me, it makes me feel younger. Anything that makes me feel younger, I'm all for.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So let's get to the 3 tips that you have for the listeners.
So, trusting your gut is number 1. And, sometimes we have ideas in our head and we say, oh, they're not going to work. But if you can really see yourself through a process, for instance, it was my campaigns and things, trust your gut. I also try to trust my gut with people that I surround myself with. I think that's really important. And just, trusting that inner part, not your ego, not your, what I call my little Carrie demon, who's like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you're not good enough for that.
Yeah.
Trust that inner core, your soul. Trust yourself. It's really important.
That's great. That's really good. Good thing to say. Number 2,
stick to what you're good at.
Okay.
As entrepreneurs, a lot of times we have to do everything. And I know that I still struggle with this at times. I can't hire out everything, but the day that I can do exactly what I'm good at, and everyone else is doing those little things that I'm not great at, that I know how I want them done, but maybe I'm not as efficient. It's not something I love and not something to my core that I'm good at, I think will be the day that my business soars.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Hone in on on those things that are really, really important. Yeah. Very good. Number 3.
It's not always easy, but that's okay.
Oh.
I used to think that I'm a very much kind of go with the flow kind of person. That's why I'm maybe not necessarily the person that has the 5-year or 10-year goal, because I feel like opportunities present themselves to me and I take them and I go with it. But just because something gets hard, I would say, oh, that's a sign I shouldn't do it. And I've learned over the last few years that that's not true. And especially even during COVID. It's been very difficult in the beauty industry. It's been very difficult in the service industry and a lot of other things. And so it doesn't mean we won't prevail and we won't do well. It's just, we have to get through it. And I think there's all types of situations that happen often like that.
Yeah. We got to be resilient. And it's interesting because you talk about resiliency and then you talk about trusting your instincts, right? And there is a really fine line to really knowing and honing in on that. What is that opportunity that it presents itself? And how do you tie into that intuition that knows whether it's good or not good? Like there must be a moment where you're going with the flow of what the day is going to bring you. And all of a sudden, this person shows up. There's got to be something that in you that says, you know what, that person isn't going to do that, or that opportunity is not going to do that. And it's really sometimes coming quiet, right? And listening to what that is. Do you find that helps you? Or
I heard one of your other podcasts about meditation, and I do more of an active meditation. There's certain things that I do around my house that are creative, but they don't really create, like I don't have to have brain power for them, if you will. And that's when things kind of come to me sometimes, like Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I should push through because this is just a little bit of a roadblock. It's not the universe telling me that this isn't good for me. This is just, it's something I need to push through. It's really not that big of a deal,
Yeah.
you know? And so it is a fine line, and it's certainly something I think we always would have to work on, but yeah.
But it's interesting that you know enough about yourself, and that's what you need, right? Like for me, it's always around meditation or walking in nature.
Mm.
And some things have come to me at night, like when my dreams, and that's why with my book Vitality Knocks, I've trained myself in hypnotherapy. So there's actually, when you read a chapter at night, things come to you, right? But I know that's what it is for me, and that's what I offer to my clients. You know, I've got a meditation for intuition. You know, I talk about your daily routine and going out for a walk in nature and honing in on that. But everyone has their own individual, like you do there, right? And that's so important in really understanding that, because that's going to take you from A to B.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love your wisdoms, and I'm so happy that you came on. I think that maybe we should have you come on for some tutorials maybe at some point too.
Oh, I would love that. I really appreciate you having me on. I have really been listening to your podcast, and I love all of the messages and the positivity. It's good. I mean, even though I try to teach that to other people, I need other people to teach it to me too.
We all work together, right? You know,
Right.
you inspire me in certain ways, and other people, we just got to work together. And that's the biggest thing. Come together, as you say, in your line, it's what it's all about. And we gotta keep ourselves on the right track and where things are going. So I'm so glad that you came on. And the podcast is reaching out in many different ways. It's around lifestyle. It's for that entrepreneur and that executive to feel comfortable and confident. And that's where the podcast is taking into different avenues. So I'm so happy that you were on today. And I really appreciate your time, and looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
You too.